26. Ms. Kowalski, we have some people missing. Do we have a quorum?
We do have a quorum this evening.
All right. And then please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for our invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a quick prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for another wonderful day here in Goochland County. We thank you for our public servants, our law enforcement, our fire and rescue, and for everyone who serves on boards and committees. Please let our conversations tonight be full of understanding and professionalism and thoughtful communication. It is in your heavenly and gracious name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Kowalski. All right, we have some unusual situations tonight. We have air conditioning in the room here, actually in the room with us, not on the ceiling, not on the roof. And so I'm going to speak into the microphone as much as I can, closely to the microphone as possible. And if you're speaking tonight, can you also do the same? It's going to be difficult for people to hear otherwise. All right, has everybody had an opportunity to read the minutes from the previous Planning Commission meeting?
We have, and I make a motion to, pass it.
I second.
All right, Ms. Kowalski, a vote?
Aye.
Mr. Patak?
Aye.
Mr. Kimmerly?
Aye. All right, our next agenda item is the director's report.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. Tonight's Director Report includes a preview of public hearings scheduled for the August Board of Supervisors and Planning Commission meetings, followed by community meetings that have been scheduled as part of a pre-application process for upcoming zoning requests. We'll begin with the Board of Supervisors. The Board of Supervisors is scheduled to meet on Tuesday, August 4th at 6 p.m. here in the boardroom. In District 2, there is a conditional use permit application, a renewal of a short-term rental unhosted. The application is by Lava Leaf Farms, LLC. That property is located at 3940 Old Stage Road. Also in District 2, there's an application by 4L Corporation for a renewal and expansion of a conditional use permit for biosolid storage. This property is located at 2801 Chapel Hill Road. Looking ahead to the August 20 Planning Commission meeting, which will begin at 6:00 p.m. here in the boardroom. In District 1, there's an application submitted by Virginia Sports Park and Training Center at Goochland for a conditional use permit to allow for a skeet shooting range, similar range or course, an indoor facility on Old Fredericksburg Road. And in District 4, there will be a public hearing held for an application by Main Street Homes. The request is to rezone approximately 123 acres for a residential subdivision. The property is located at 2161 Mannequin Road. There are currently 4 community meetings scheduled for zoning applications. I will be presenting these in chronological order. First, the first meeting is for an application in District 3. It is a rezoning request submitted by Wonderview LLC, also known as the Serenity Trail Project. The applicant is proposing to rezone the property for a residential subdivision. The community meeting will be held on Monday, July 20th at 6 p.m. at the County Administration Building in room 270. The second community meeting scheduled is for an application in District 5. This is an application by Valco Goochland County LLC, project name Tuckahoe Tech Park. They are requesting a conditional use permit for a data center campus on approximately 872 acres. The property is located at 44 Cobblestone Circle and 70 Fleetwood Lane and bounded to the west by Hockett Road. The meeting is scheduled for Thursday, July 23rd at 6 p.m. That will be at 3250 River Road West, which is Goochland County High School. Mr. Chairman, I believe many of the people in the audience are here to speak about this case. We welcome all comments, but I want to make sure people understand that the application is not being considered this evening, nor will there be any decisions made at the community meeting scheduled on the 23rd. I encourage those in attendance to attend the community meeting and participate in this conditional use permit process. The third community meeting is in District 2. This is a request, it's an application by Cello Partners doing business as Verizon Wireless. They're proposing to construct a communication tower at 1400 Marlin Road. This community meeting will take place on Wednesday, August 5th at 6 p.m. in Conference Room 270 here in the County Administration Building. The fourth community meeting is in District 2. This is a conditional use permit application submitted by Winfrey Jenkins requesting a conditional use permit for a detached accessory family housing unit. The property is 4380 Riddles Bridge Road. The meeting for this application is scheduled for Monday, August 10th at 6 p.m. at Central High School, 2748 Dogtown Road, 2748 Dogtown Road, excuse me. That concludes my update. Thank you very much.
All right, that brings us to our citizen comment period, and Ms. Sherry.
Oh, per the Planning Commission bylaws, Section 4, addressing the commission public comments. Generally, all persons who speak before the commission during citizen comment period or a public hearing shall do so from the lectern and furnish their names and addresses to the commission. A speaker shall only speak once on any item unless the commission asks the speaker to answer questions. No person may address the commission unless they have first been recognized by the chair. Each person who desires to speak shall be given time to present oral or written comments. Comments shall be directed to the commission and not to the audience. Citizen comment period. The citizen comment period provides a public forum for the commission to hear from citizens about matters pertinent to the activities, issues, or policies of the commission. The citizen comment period is limited to matters that are not scheduled for public hearing on tonight's agenda.
All right, Ms. Sherry, can you take responsibility for, not that you need to do it, but take responsibility for bringing people in or filing people in order to the front row?
Absolutely. We already kind of have a plan. I've got
Okay.
staff in the hallway. The way this is going to go is the folks in this room will have an opportunity to speak first. When the front row, those are in the front row, when you're finished speaking, if you could provide the space that you're sitting in for the next round of speakers. If you're going to have time seated, we're requesting that everybody comes to the front row together so that we can move through the process quickly. After this room is completed, we're going to ask the folks over in the conference room in 270 to come, then the
Okay.
two conference rooms on this hallway, and then lastly, the break room.
Right.
We do have staff that will
Okay,
be helping
great.
you coordinate that.
Great, thank you very much.
Of course.
All right, and I know that there are some signs here, and there will probably be signs that are coming in. Signs are restricted to the back of the room so that they don't block any view. So just be aware of that as you're coming forward. And I would also ask that we maintain decorum here and try not to applaud or boo when people say certain things, just so that we can get through this as quickly as possible. It's going to be a late evening for all of us. All right, so, and I understand that there was a speaker sign-up form inadvertently left on the county website, and when it was realized that that was up there, somebody had already signed up, a couple had already signed up, and so I want to respect that and allow them to speak first, because they did use the form that was there, even though it was not intended to be our sign up for this meeting. So, having said that, I would like to invite, if they are here, Marcy Reese and Rob Reese to come forward first and speak. Anybody that does come forward will state their name and their address, and then address us as the council. Okay. Are they outside? Okay. All right. When you do get up to speak, if you're ceding your time to somebody else, Ms. Parker, would you like to explain this?
Sure. If you are ceding your time, you'll just want to come up with the folks you are ceding time with. The ceders will go first and cede their time, and then the representative of the group will be the last one and speak.
All right, and there are lights on the lectern. When the green lights are on, you are free to express your comments, and it will become yellow as your time nears its end, and then red when your time is expired. And then we ask everybody to please honor that. I don't like cutting people off, and we have a lot of comments to get through. So let's go ahead with the Reeses.
Hello, my name is Marcy Reese. And
It's turned off. Can you yeah, okay. There we go. Now speak into it, yes.
Thank you. My name is Marcy Reese. I live on Shannon Hill in Goochland, Virginia. I came to speak in favor of the shooting park that we're going to have, and I brought a couple parents and grandparents of kids that we hope will be participating in that. So I'm going to let them talk.
Hi, my name is Kristen. My son is 10 years old and participates in the shooting club that Miss Marcy has.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, could we get your name and
Oh,
address,
yes.
please?
Sure. Kristen Talbot, 2332 West Gray Street.
Okay, thank you.
My son participates in Marcy's shooting club, and we've been members for a number of years. Right now, the kids shoot outdoors in the elements, 365 days a year. We'd like a community place where the kids can share their love of archery, someplace where they can get out of the elements, they can practice their sport, and also invite other friends, family members, grandparents, parents. It's a sport that any age or ability can participate in. So having a common place for them to be would be helpful.
Okay.
And this.
Hi, good evening. My name is Liz Ebel, 8110 Sawmill Road, and my grandson just got started in January, and it's so much fun. I was coming out with him. I have bought a bow, and it is, I encourage you all to try it. It's a lot of fun, and we would just love to have climate-controlled space that we'd be able to practice all year. So thanks for listening.
Okay, thank you. And sir? Oh,
Want to say something?
I'll say something. Robert Reese, 4135 Shannon Hill Road, Columbia, Virginia. This is in regards to the shooting park. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that they don't have facts. All they want to do is complain about it. I'm a fact-based person. Actually, all of the stuff that had issues last time had been addressed now by VSP. But that's not good enough. And the problem is, at this point, they're just going off emotion, not actual facts, like the noise thing. Well, the study's been conducted, they're waiting for results, and they're still saying it's too loud. Well, how can you say it's too loud if results haven't been posted yet? Security, actually really a fence around 700-acre property to keep kids out? Do you not have any self-responsibility of your children? I mean, that's just ludicrous. Who fences 700 acres of property? The traffic. Oh, there's too much traffic. Well, apparently there's over 100 engineers that are complaining about it, even though VDOT had to be paid, I believe it's $10,000 for the study. Apparently their engineers aren't good enough because everybody's complaining about the traffic are better engineers than what VDOT has. So with the VSP, I just wish people would get beyond the emotion and go totally off facts. And that's probably the most disappointing thing, because there's a big difference. Because facts mean everything, emotions just BS. And too much of this life is run off BS and emotion nowadays. So I'm just grateful that you guys, ladies, are going to be able to decipher and actually go up based off the facts and not judge just based off everybody's emotions. Because you're going to hear a ton of emotion tonight and no facts to back it up. So that's all I've got to say with that. Thank you.
All right. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just remind the audience that there's a lot of noise because of the fans and the air conditioners. If people could speak directly into the microphone so that not only people in the room can hear, but then it'll also be clear on the public record what they have to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, and who is our next? Come on up.
Hello, I'm Stephen Shorrock at 12201 Bremner Ridge Circle in Manikin-Summit, and I cede my time to Susan Willis.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Susan Willis. I live at 12384 South Reader Circle in Manikin-Savit. I am reading this actually on behalf of my neighbor, Ann Gesner, who resides at 12366 South Readers Drive. Statements were made recently at a public meeting by the chair of Goochland County's Economic Development Authority, Ben Sloan, that Goochland's financial condition was in dire straits and that it was imperative that data center development take place in order to address this situation. I am a resident of Readers Branch and was asked to review available public documents to determine Goochland's financial condition in order to verify the accuracy of Mr. Sloan's statement. By way of explanation, I am a retired CPA. I worked for Harford County, Maryland for 30 years. At my retirement, I was the chief of the Bureau of Accounting. During my career, I was directly involved in preparation of Harford's annual financial statements and preparing documents necessary to obtain Harford County's bond rating. There are two main documents that provide an accurate picture of a political subdivision's financial health. They are its bond rating and its comprehensive financial report. A bond rating indicates the risk of default on government bonds issued by a county which secure a county's debt. There are three main national bond rating agencies which assess the likelihood of repayment of bonds issued by local governments. As of 2024, the last year Goochland requested such a rating, it holds a AAA bond rating from all three major rating agencies. This is the highest possible financial rating, meaning Goochland has an exceptionally strong ability to pay back debt. A AAA bond rating usually requires robust tax bases, strong local economies, and responsible budget management. When it received this AAA rating, Goochland publicly celebrated that achievement. The second document is the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, or the ACFR, which must be submitted annually. The most recent ACFR submitted by Goochland is dated June 30th, 2025. A ACFR is a thorough and audited set of financial statements compiled by Goochland. The ACFR bondholders, taxpayers, and policymakers, the ACFR is the primary source of financial health for governments. It is closely scrutinized by creditors, by bondholders, taxpayers, and policymakers to assess a government's ability to pay its debts, manage its resources, and deliver public services. The results of this most recent ACFR stated Goochland's governmental funds ended the year with a combined fund balance of $109 million. Approximately $92.7 million of the total $109 million is available for spending at Goochland's discretion. The annual audit of Goochland, which is performed by an independent CPA firm and which is included in the ACFR, found no evidence of Goochland being, quote, in dire financial condition, unquote. Based on the above, rather than indicating a dire financial condition, these documents indicate that Goochland is in an excellent financial condition. Of course, there may be documents that indicate that Goochland's financial condition is in dire condition. However, they are not publicly available and could not be reviewed. If, in fact, these documents do exist, Goochland should release them to the public as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our next speaker, Mr. Rosenberg.
Robin Casper. I live at 12049 Talavera Terrace, and I cede my time to Arnie Rosenberg.
Joanne Gutkin, 14008 Mosaic Nook, and I cede my time to Arnie Rosenberg.
All right.
Tina Carroll, 14561 Mosaic Creek Boulevard, and I cede my time to Arnie Rosenberg.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Arnold Rosenberg. I reside at 14003 Mosaic Nook in the Mosaic at West Creek subdivision. I am president of the Mosaic at West Creek Homeowners Association, representing the 497 households in our established 55 and over senior community, immediately adjacent to, and for many of our residents, surrounded by the property being considered for the Tuckahoe Technology Park conditional use permit. We recognize that Valco Goochland LLC tract, the applicant is in the pre-application phase of a conditional use permit request for the Tuckahoe Technology Park, an 872-acre, 900-megawatt hyperscale industrial data center campus. And just for clarity purposes, and so we can all work from the same understanding, a hyperscale campus such as the one being proposed is a multi-building industrial complex with continuous 24/7 mechanical operation, massive electrical and cooling infrastructure, and an impact profile comparable to that of a major power generation facility. We also understand and appreciate that the purpose of the pre-application stage is to identify issues and determine whether the applicant can meet Virginia's standard for a conditional use permit. To do so, the burden of proof rests with the applicant to demonstrate through competent, substantial, and objective evidence that those standards can be met and that the proposed use will not adversely affect the surrounding area and is compatible with adjacent uses. At this early stage, the association must be direct and unequivocal. Based on the information presented to date, the Mosaic at West Creek Homeowners Association does not believe the applicant has demonstrated that a continuously operating hyperscale industrial campus of this magnitude is compatible with an established senior residential community immediately adjacent to it. This is not a debate about the value of data centers or Goochland County's economic development goals. Those issues aren't part of our discussion. The question before you will be, is procedural, fundamental, and unavoidable. Can the applicant demonstrate compatibility between a 900 megawatt industrial campus and an adjacent 55-plus residential community? At this stage, the record contains conceptual plans, predictive analyses, but not demonstrated evidence from a comparable operating environment. And the absence of such evidence is not a minor gap. It is a foundational problem. To our knowledge, neither the applicant nor the county staff has identified a comparable example in Virginia or elsewhere in the United States where an industrial, hyperscale data center campus of this size and magnitude has operated immediately adjacent to an established 55-plus age-restricted residential community while demonstrating long-term compatibility. The absence of precedent is not an inconvenience. It is a critical point that must inform this commission's expectations. Conceptual plans, renderings, and predictive modeling are not substitutes for demonstrated performance in a comparable setting. Compatibility is not presumed simply because impacts are modeled. It must be demonstrated through objective evidence. And while added conditions may mitigate impacts, they cannot transform an incompatible use into a compatible one. As this process moves forward, the Mosaic at West Creek Homeowners Association will participate constructively by providing the Commission and the Board of Supervisors detailed information regarding land use incompatibility, as well as potential impacts on our senior residents from years of construction activity, operational noise and low-frequency sound, water demand and electrical infrastructure, potential on-site energy generation, public health concerns, particularly for our 55-plus senior community and its older population, as well as the cumulative interaction of all these impacts when considered together. Given the unprecedented magnitude and scale of this proposal, we respectfully request that the Commission require the applicant's formal submission to include objective and independently verified evidence addressing those topics, not solely internal modeling or consultant-generated projections. An outline of this evidence, along with this presentation, is being provided to the Board Secretary for inclusion in the official record. In closing, the burden of proof rests with the applicant, not with us, the neighboring residents. Unless compatibility is demonstrated through objective, independently verified evidence, the Mosaic at West Creek Homeowners Association will oppose approval of this conditional use permit. Thank you for your consideration this evening and for your service to our community.
All right, thank you very much. All right, and our next speakers, anybody on the front row here? Yeah, don't be shy. Come on up.
Kevin Fallon, 9426 Tesserae Way. Cede my time to Dr. Silverman.
All right.
Angie Phelan, 9426 Tesserae Way. I cede my time to Dr. Silverman.
Hi, I'm Karen Fortuna, 9705 Kaleidoscope Row. I cede my time to Mr. Silverman.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
All right, you're a tall man.
Yes, it's going to be
Do
hard.
your best to speak into the microphone.
Yeah, this is going to be difficult. Let me know if you're not hearing me. My name is Bruce Silverman. I live at 1340 Hounslow Drive in Mannequin-Sabat. I'm here to speak regarding the healthcare issues related to the technology park. Thank you for giving me this time. I want to begin with a simple idea.
Dr. Sullivan, can you speak a little bit more? We have a couple people
How
that
about this? I want to begin with a simple idea. Progress is real only when it protects people who live with its consequences. This is not just a land use case on a planning agenda. It is a decision about the air our children breathe, the water our families depend on, and the quiet dignity of neighborhoods near Hockett Road, Patterson Avenue, Route 288, Mosaic at West Creek, and their surrounding community. The application describes a large multi-phase data center campus on roughly 872 acres with conceptual plans showing multiple data center buildings. The applicant may say these impacts can be managed through buffers, setbacks, design standards, and future studies. But hope is not a health standard, and promises are not pollution controls. Before Goochland County approves a project of this scale, residents deserve clear answers about what will be admitted into the air, how much water will be used, how stormwater will be controlled, and what level of noise nearby families will hear, not just at noon on a weekday, but at 2 o'clock in the morning when they're trying to sleep. The first concern is air pollution from backup power. Even Tier 4 diesel generators are still diesel engines. When tested or used during outages, they release fine particulate matter, nitrogen oxides, carbon monoxide, and other pollutants. According to Virginia Commonwealth University research, emissions from data centers in Northern Virginia increased sharply between 2015 and 2023. Carbon monoxide emissions rose 196%, nitrogen oxide emissions rose 111%, and particulate matter emissions rose 139%. The researchers found that cumulative emissions exposure near some data center clusters was already comparable to and sometimes exceeded neighborhood level exposure from major power plants. That lesson matters. One generator may sound manageable. A campus of generators can become a public health burden. The public health concern is not theoretical. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency states that small particulates can travel deep in the lungs and some may enter the bloodstream. Link particulate pollution to premature deaths in people with heart and lung disease, non-fatal heart attacks, irregular heartbeats, aggravated asthma, decreased lung function, coughing, and difficulty breathing. Harvard public health researchers have also helped show why the national annual PM2 standard was strengthened from 12 micrograms per cubic millimeter to 9 micrograms per cubic millimeter. The EPA estimated a stronger standard could potentially prevent up to 4,500 premature deaths and 800,000 asthma attacks each year once fully implemented. These are not abstract numbers. They are parents missing work to take a child to the emergency room. There are seniors struggling to breathe. There are families paying the hidden cost of decisions made far from their front porches. The second concern is noise. Data centers operate around the clock. They require cooling equipment, fans, transformers, substations, and backup systems. Some of this noise is steady, low frequency, and difficult to block with ordinary walls or trees. The World Health Organization recognizes environmental noise as a public health risk with sleep disturbance, hypertension, my specialty, ischemic heart disease, cognitive impairment, and other health impacts. In Europe, WHO has estimated that traffic-related noise alone costs about 1 million healthy life years each year. Goochland does not need to become another case study in what happens when a community treats noise as a nuisance instead of a health issue. The third concern is water, stormwater, and land disturbance. Campuses of this size can change how water moves across the land. Large buildings, access roads, equipment pads, and parking areas create impervious surfaces. Stormwater that once soaked into fields and forests can instead rush across pavement, carrying sediment, fuel residues, chemicals, and heat into streams and wetlands. If water-intensive cooling is used, residents need to know the projected water demand, the source of that water, and whether drought conditions or future expansion could create new pressure on local supplies. Clean water is not a technical detail, it's a basic obligation. And we have warnings from other Virginia communities. In Pittsylvania County, a Harvard data science initiative and Dominici lab analysis of the proposed Balco gas plant and data center estimated 326 tons of PM 2.5 emissions per year. More than 17,500 residents exposed to levels associated with severe health impacts. Approximately $31 million in annual health care cost. More than $625 million in cumulative cost by 2040. Now, Goochland is not Pennsylvania, and this proposal is not identical, but the principle is the same. If we fail to ask hard questions before approval, ordinary families will be left paying extraordinary cost afterwards. This is why residents should ask for clear, measurable conditions before any approval of Tuckahoe Technology Park. We should require independent, health-focused air quality analysis that models all generators and any on-site power systems together under normal testing, emergency operation, and worst-case scenarios. We should require limits on generator testing, public reporting, whenever generators run, and enforceable emission controls and operating procedures that protect nearby homes. We should require a noise study that measures the low-frequency sound and nighttime impacts at nearby residences, not only at the property line. We should require enforceable sound limits, continuous monitoring, and real penalties if those limits are exceeded. And we should require full disclosure of water use, cooling technology, stormwater controls, spill prevention, and long-term environmental monitoring. This is not anti-technology, it is pro-community. It is not anti-growth, it is pro-responsibility. We can welcome innovation without surrendering our standards. We can support economic development without asking our neighbors to absorb risks they did not choose and cannot move away from. If the applicant says the project should be safe, then safety should be proven, measured, independently verified, and written into binding conditions before the first building goes up. That is a choice before Goochland County. We can be a community that learns from Northern Virginia and Pittsylvania County, or we can become the next community asking why the warning signs were ignored. We can insist that health be counted before tax revenue is celebrated. We can insist that residents are not treated as an afterthought, but as the first people government is obligated to protect. My request is simple. Slow down, require independent analysis, put health protections in writing, and do not approve the project until Goochland County can show that nearby residents will be protected from cumulative air pollution, water impacts, and constant noise. Progress should lift a community up, not ask a few neighbors to quietly carry the burden for everyone else. Let us choose clean air, safe water, peaceful homes, and responsible growth. Let us choose a future worthy of the people who live here. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. All right, yes, of course, come forward.
Thank you, Chair Kimberly. There are two people donating minutes to me tonight.
All right, and I'm going to ask you all to speak into the microphones.
Paula Margolis, 9432 Tesserae Way, Mosaic Park.
Okay, Paula, thank you.
Good evening, I'm Ralph Preeb, live at 7006 Bisque Terrace, Mosaic.
Okay, thank you, Ralph.
And I cede my time to Reverend Lisa Sykes.
Okay.
Actually, I'm not sure how it works. Thank you, Jamie.
Did you have
A PowerPoint, yes.
Is
I
that
do.
it right there?
Yes, that's the first page.
And
How do I
then,
change it?
so this is forward. If you have to
Okay.
go back, that's the one.
Oh, I
If you need
should
to
do it.
point, the other one. So,
Very good.
and I'm right here if you need.
Thank you so much, Jamie.
Let's make sure that that's as close as we can.
What
to you.
service? Chair Kimberly, Commissioners, thank you for letting me speak tonight. Good evening. I am Reverend Lisa Sykes. I live at 12482 North Crossing Drive in Readers Ranch. I do not work for Goochland County. I have no financial conflicts of interest. Did you know that the doomsday clock pictured on the slide here quantifies not only the long-term threat posed by nuclear arms, but also the new threat from AI and its related uses, autonomous weapons, democratic erosion, and deepfakes, just for starters? The doomsday clock is currently set at 85 seconds to midnight, which means we don't have a lot of time to correct our trajectory. A leaked memo from the Trump administration recognizes the extensive financial risks to our entire economy from AI. Do you think you've already seen too big to fail? With unknown amounts of private debt, some economists suggest AI represents a financial danger like nothing that we have ever seen before. Despite massive spending, some AI investors question returns. In addition, the suggestion that AI will cure the K-shaped economy is unrealistic. Most profits belong to those with stocks in heavy tech sectors in the upper branch of the K-shaped economy. But what do Goochland citizens care about? We care about where we live. Data centers put us at risk. Don't take my word for it. The United Nations warns that these massive data centers are at risk to our water, land, and climate. Does anyone really think polluted aquifers and air will remain in districts 4 and 5? The county asserts it will not drill for well water, but it has not explicitly prohibited this in the TOD. Is this because perhaps the logic that Henrico will give us water to data center, its prime commercial and residential real estate market in Shore Pump, is not sensible? I have to wonder that myself. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Stone. Mr. Sloan of the EDA is correct. Last session of the Board of Supervisors, he was laughed at when he said that golf courses do use more water than data centers, but that's true, they do. Unlike data centers, however, what they do not do is add biocides or forever chemicals or heavy metals to the water. They do not remove water from the water cycle or worsen droughts, drain aquifers, or compete with residents for water. Mr. Zuckerberg was a good Wyoming neighbor until he moved in with Meta. Despite a closed-loop system, Meta flushed data center wastewater into the sewer. What happened? A rare parasite in the municipal water system. Goochland has not been able to provide many East End residents with clean water free of mold and smell through the TCSD in a decade. Are our leaders prepared to respond to this kind of emergency contamination event in our county? Now, from water to air and sound. Could I sleep at night if I were in a position of trust? I had predisposed those in my care to an increased risk of asthma, cancer, neurological disorders, and reduced fertility. How about hypertension, as Bruce said, insomnia, and cardiac disease? These are the outcomes of locating industrial diesel generators and chillers next door to a 55-plus community that already exists. No one is allowed to close their eyes and pretend the county did not locate Mosaic in harm's way. Build a data center, yes, that's fine. Just not 500 feet away from our senior citizens. That's a real concern. Now let me read the slide for you, if I may. It says what it needs to all by itself. Amazon data center linked to rare cancers and miscarriages in Oregon, report warns. Echoes of Flint as Oregon nitrate crisis worsens. Dougherty, the researcher, said that of the first 30 homes he visited where residents were reliant on well water, around 25 people had recently had miscarriages, while 6 had lost kidneys. There's also a 60-year-old who had his voice box removed because of a smoking-related cancer, but he had never smoked in his life. Let me say plainly what my call demands of me. This is not a simple zoning issue. The county entertains a zoning approval that amounts to creating a public health crisis, and I object to that. Injure our neighbors, and for what? A doomsday technology that has helped, for example, and has not been mentioned in any of the previous board meetings, to plan suicides, plan school shootings, undress female images, and most of all, conduct surveillance without warrants. See the bottom right corner of this slide, the question, why don't tech companies talk about these dangers? The answer, discussing potential dangers could harm stock prices, create regulatory scrutiny, and discourage adoption of beneficial AI applications. At the last board meeting, as I sat listening because my voice was weak, I was pleased by the scriptures that I heard citizens offering to the board. What our community is saying, I think, is that they know this is an ethical issue. And religious people understand that how we care for our neighbors from east to west in this county is a matter of greatest concern to our God. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Sykes.
Of course.
Yes. come forward.
Hello, I'm Diane Halverson. I reside at 12253 Bremley Ridge Circle in Mannequin Sabbath, that's in Reader's Branch, and I cede my time to my husband, Lee.
Okay.
Greetings and salutations. My name's Lee Halverson. I'm a friend of Goochland. I live at 12253 Bremner Ridge Circle. And I wanted to come up and give you some thoughts, a little bit different than some tonight. I wanted to talk about the fire hose of stuff that's coming at Goochland and you and the Board of Supervisors and the staff. It's a fire hose of technology. It's a fire hose of come-heres like me. It's a fire hose of e-commerce and commerce and short pump and all sorts of things. And it's causing stress. Stress fractures in all the things, the places we live, the things that we do. And so what I want to suggest is, all the authority flows down from the Commonwealth's Constitution, right, through statutes and comes down to here, and then it gets implemented through the Board of Supervisors and the ordinances, et cetera, and sometimes, like now, it would be helpful if you all and the staff had more tools to work with. So I'm suggesting that perhaps we take a break and think about strategic planning, comprehensive planning, zoning ordinance amendments to look at things like standards, use standards for data centers. Because right now, we don't have any in the M1s. And there's hundreds, if not 1,000 acres of land under option out west that could be bought by Dominion by the end of the year and then sold to Tract. And then the landowners would be able to say, hey, I want a data center. And then we'd be dealing with that with no use standards. So I urge you to engage with the staff, with the community. Please don't leave us out. To start working on use standards, development standards, and other things that would give the staff, you all, the Board of Supervisors, the tools, guidance, and direction to proceed together, because we all live here. We all want to be happy here. And I think that use standards and zoning ordinance amendments and a process would be very helpful. Thank you for your time and for your service.
All right, thank you, Lee. All right, I believe that's the entire, okay, come forward. Yeah, I was thinking that was the entire front row, but go ahead. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Wendy Attar. I live at 7027 Biss Terrace in Richmond, Virginia, but Goochland and Mosaic. And I cede my time to our friend Joe Herreras.
Hi, Susie Harza, 7117 Montage in Mosaic, and I cede my time to my husband, Joe.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
On behalf of my wife Susie and many of our Goochland 5 neighbors, I respectfully...
Can I get your
I'm sorry.
address as well?
My name is Joe Harza. I live at 7117 Montage Row
Right,
in
thank
Mosaic. On behalf of my wife Susie and many of our Goochland District 5 neighbors, I respectfully request that the Goochland Planning Commission deny the conditional use permit for development of a hyperscale data center complex in the area referred to as TOD West. I've been researching the role of the Planning Commission in local government and specifically Goochland County, and their role is as follows. Number one, ensure long-term orderly growth. 2, prevent sprawl. 3, prevent unsafe development. 4, prevent overloaded roads and utilities. 5, reduce or eliminate conflict between land uses. And 6, minimize environmental degradation. My particular concerns are with items 3 through 6. When Motorola backed out of the West Creek Business Park, Goochland created the Tuckahoe Creek Service District, known as the TCSD, to develop infrastructure for water and sewer in the West Creek Business Park and promoted residential developments in District 4 and 5 to support the Goochland County tax base. These residential communities with mostly 55-plus residents provided a substantial increase in the Goochland County tax base while requiring very few services such as schools, etc. This seemed like a good idea. What I don't understand is why you would think it's a great idea to locate a hyperscale data center complex with excessive, potentially debilitating noise air and water pollution adjacent to a 500-plus home Mosaic community. It's been reported the data center complex may have 257 generators, 900 chillers, and 300 megawatt substations, all of which may generate noise in the 80 to 100 dB range during normal operations and peak impulses from breakers exceeding 100 dB. And this does not include the continuous low-frequency transformer hum from the substations. Of specific concern are the two 300-megawatt substations proposed in Track's development areas 5 and 6, which are adjacent to the Mosaic at West Creek neighborhood. Number 4, prevent overloaded roads and utilities. Road access may meet minimum requirements, but we definitely have a power and water issue. Dominion Energy can generate the power somewhere in the Dominion system, but the infrastructure is not available to provide 900 megawatts to the 3 proposed 300 megawatt substations in the data center complex. Also, determining who pays for the infrastructure may not be a planning commission responsibility, but there's no way this expense should fall on the local residents. If infrastructure is required for data centers, it should be the developer's responsibility. Another issue that's not been discussed is water and the TCSD. The Parkside, Reeders Branch, and Mosaic at West Creek communities have been complaining of water quality, i.e. water odor, black mold, etc. And only recently is this being addressed by the county. Water usage in data centers is high, and the quality of the water is a major concern to data center designers and operators. I am concerned that the data centers will require more clean water than can be produced by TCSD, and that the quality issue may require future water treatment plants and additional infrastructure to support the data centers. Would an additional ad valorem tax be approved and added to our tax bills if the water treatment plants and/or additional TCSD infrastructure is necessary? Does this sound like proper planning for the necessary utilities? Reduce or eliminate conflict between land uses. When we decided to move to Goochland County and build our home in February 2023, I felt comfortable that the land behind my home was zoned agricultural A1 rural with some areas considered wetlands. Little did I know that the Goochland County Economic Development Authority members were signing NDAs leading them to promote development of the TOD with the Board of Supervisors and the Planning Commission so they could allow for data center development adjacent to my new home. Will this TOD overlay precedent affect other areas of Goochland County currently zoned agricultural? Minimize environmental degradation. Data centers and auxiliary equipment create air pollution from generator emissions and water pollution from effluent cooling water streams containing contaminants. So much for looking out for the environment. At the Board of Supervisors meeting on July 7, 2026, many of the people offering public comments asked the Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors to remember that they represent the residents of Goochland County and not the developers looking to profit from data centers while negatively impacting our neighborhoods. Also, the Goochland 2035 Comprehensive Plan instructed planners to protect residential areas from incompatible land uses and ensure compatibility with neighboring uses. Please remember this when reviewing the conditional use permit. The proposed data center complex next to Mosaic is already beginning to affect home sales and interest in settling in Mosaic. It's only a matter of time before our home values begin to decline if this data center complex is approved. In closing, I ask that the Goochland County Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors reconsider your decision to establish TOD West and deny approval of the data center's conditional use permit. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. All right, do we have our next front row full of speakers? Well, somebody come forward and speak. But is there anybody who would like to comment? Yes.
Good evening, Commissioners. Is that good there?
A little bit lower.
Closer?
Yeah, a little bit lower.
All right.
There you go. That's perfect.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Andrew Bockham. I live on 4385 West Wind Drive, Mineral, Virginia, about a half a mile away from VSP's proposed range location on Old Fredericksburg Road. I'd like to start by saying that I'm an avid shooter and have been for all my life. My grandfather, who basically raised me, taught hunter safety for over 40 years. As a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission in the county he abided in, he was essential in the creation of a local gun range. When they were deciding on a location, he decided that having it away from family homes was of the utmost importance, as he didn't want shooting sports participants or gun enthusiasts to be viewed as uncaring. I believe it was the right thing to do, both as a sportsman and as a member of his local government. Gun enthusiasts can get a bad enough representation as it is, without a small number of them intending to build a sports center that will create excessive noise pollution and lower the property values of those living nearby. I fully support the idea of this park, from the facilities to the training of youth, but it needs to be built in an appropriate location where the well-being of Goochland citizens will be maintained. I understand that VSP wants to preserve the sport, and I do as well. However, at the end of the day, it is a sport. It is recreation. Homes are a necessity, and the welfare and happiness of those living in them is absolutely more important than the attempted preservation of a sport. It's a day or weekend of fun for those visiting, but completely detrimental to the lifestyles of those living nearby. The lack of any prearranged efforts to mitigate the noise, extensive planned hours of operation, and the unrealistic shooting demonstration are disrespectful to those who call this area home. I've heard supporters of this proposal state that they would love for a shotgun range to be built so close to their house, but it is a completely hypothetical situation for them. For my neighbors and myself, it is reality, and we do not want this. I've also heard claims that those opposing this range are outsiders and/or gun control advocates who moved here and are now trying to turn this county into the very place they came from. This cannot be further from the truth. Many of us have lived here for years. I lived in Powhatan before the injury that left me paralyzed, and I planned to move to Goochland County shortly beforehand. Life had other plans at the time, but 2 years ago, that dream became a reality. I knew when I moved here that the undeveloped land nearby put our peace to some degree of risk, as we couldn't know at the time what would eventually be built there. I never imagined a proposal so clearly in violation of the county's ordinances making it this far in the process. I mean no disrespect in saying this, but this whole ordeal has made me lose a degree of faith in my local government's willingness to protect the interests of its constituents. I hope and pray that I'm wrong in this belief. Thank you all for listening, and have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Brandon. All right. More speakers? All right, come on up and sit in the front row. Yeah, that's fine.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Crockett.
Right.
I live at 5888 Community House Road in Columbia. I spoke before this board about 3 months ago about the comprehensive plan review needed to be started. It was not started. Nothing has happened on it. There's been no movement. As a result, now there's a pre-application filed. This has to be done as soon as possible. I cannot reiterate that. It is something that will guide our county. I sat on the 2003, the 2008, and the last one. And people keep saying it's 2035. It's not. It's over 15 years old. Now, I also am dealing with the transmission lines. If there was not a data center, there would be no transmission lines. If Dominion had not leased or bought property in the west end of the county to put solar farms on, there would not be transmission lines. None of this was in the vision of any of the comprehensive plans I've worked on. None. They have taken the word data center out of the comprehensive plan from back then, when there was no such thing as a data center as they are applying for it today. They are playing semantics with the words and are not following the intent of the document. I cannot also believe I'm having to deal with transmission lines in another state, in Indiana, for my grandmother's 250-year-old farm. They want to put the line there, right through the forestal district, through an ancient creek bed created by a glacier. And they said we could put it wherever we want. If you think it's going to be different here, you all are sadly mistaken. Also, this week, I went there for a AES meeting and got some very interesting information. AES is getting ready to be acquired by BlackRock. BlackRock owns 30% of NextEra in Florida. Now, NextEra is buying Dominion Power. They're going to be running a line from Indiana to Florida, and it's going to be with government contracts, and it's going to be very interesting to see who gets the power, because it's certainly not going to be the public. We have no access to those lines anyway. None of the electricity going through the transmission lines in Goochland are going to be used for Goochland citizens. And I'm sorry, but Valley Link is a private company with investors that are utilities, and they're taking citizens' land for the purpose of running a line through Lynchburg all the way up to Culpeper area. And they have segmented their lines by state and cutting it off. It was West Virginia, then it went to Lynchburg. So there are going to be no protections for crossing state lines. If you think they're going to do it just out of the goodness of their heart, you're sadly mistaken. And if we don't protect this for our citizens, it's going to be too late.
Thank you, Kathy.
Josh Cather, 1715 Walton Store Road. I am for the archery at the current site. I am against the sports shooting at this location. Virginia Archery Center says we against the range are city liberals who recently moved here. We're not. We're well-established families in the community. We're veterans. Added me to the list. I was an infantryman in 3 battalions across the Marine Corps. My friend on the other side, Mr. Amity, stipulated that at a prior shooting demonstration, he found the very ammo that will be authorized and sanctioned for use at VSP to be jarring and loud. In fact, his initial reaction to the noise was that the load fired was not a load authorized at VSP. Indeed, it was. Of course, he caveats this now by saying the load was fired in his direction, which is contested. I urge you to give heavy weight to Mr. Hamidi's natural, unscripted reaction to the noise at the prior shooting demonstration. I know the marketing for this project is focused heavily on youth engagement. We probably all know this is going to be a good old boys club, given my friend's comments on the type of patrons he expects this to attract. And a good old boys club is great for people with $90,000 shotguns. A target customer, my friend concedes, is expected to be a significant amount of their business. And I know Goochland wants their money spent in Goochland, but does it make any sense for such a project to be housed in a middle-class family community? The middle class is absorbing the noise. This is for folks to travel to, blast away their shotguns with no concern for the homes surrounding it, and then go back to their further away homes, never to be disturbed at their own homestead with the same noise they intend to inflict on our families. The operating hours effectively bar school children from participating Monday through Friday. Weekends, understandably, will be busy days, and likewise busy with noise for family homes. The only days of reprieve are proposed to be a few holidays and a weekday, that is, except for inclement weather. That is when VSP will close so we can have barbecues in the rain or snow-free from gunshots. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
My name is Ann Diaz, and I live at 4355 West Wind Drive, which is the corner of West Wind and Old Fredericksburg. I'm one of the very closest houses to the proposed shooting range.
Okay.
I'm driveway to driveway, it's a half of a mile.
All right.
We did not hear about the proposal to move it to our location until we got the letter about the last meeting, which I went to, the informational meeting. Before that, they had already done their shooting test, but we were not notified. We didn't know anything about the proposed project. The posting sign actually was put up like on a Thursday. We looked on the Goochland website, and there was no new information about that site. So we had no idea what was there. So when they did their test shooting, we were not home. We had no idea that they were going to do that. We would want to hear a test shooting when we would be notified that it was going to happen so that we could listen for it, because listening to them say, oh, it's going to be fine, and they say, well, we've got these sound checks and they're going to get back to us and tell us how acceptable it's going to be. I would like to hear it for myself. We asked at that informational meeting if they could do that, set up another test with just them shooting, no monitoring or anything, just notify, and they said no, there was no way they could do that, which tells me that the answer is going to be, I'm not going to be happy, and neither are my neighbors. I have nothing against shooting. I have lived in the county since 1989 and have lived on West Wind Drive for the last 4 years. We moved from the eastern end of the county because we liked the more rural, quieter atmosphere that was in District 1. We kind of feel like that area is lost to the supervisors and the planners. A few years ago, we got our new slaughterhouse, which is between the shooting area and my house. And nothing we ever said about that was listened to at all. What we did get with that was a nice field of cows that are directly across from the proposed shooting range. And I don't know if their owner knows this or not, because he's new to the cattle industry, but cows really dislike noises. It will totally disrupt those beautiful animals that are out there in the field that we do enjoy looking at. So we'd really like to hear what it's going to sound like. I have no opposition whatsoever to the archery. I mean, that's quiet, that's nice, that's fun. I'd probably take my granddaughter up there for archery. Mm-hmm. But the noise every day except for Monday, rainy days, snowy days, and major holidays is going to really impact our lifestyle, I think. I can't know for sure because I have not heard what it's going to sound like.
Okay.
But
all right.
I'm like the close person, so thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. And
Good evening, my name is Jill King. I live at 5735 Broad Street Road in District 1, and I cede my time to Christy Payne.
Name's Carmen Payne, and I'm 4630 Three Chop Road, Gum Spring, Virginia. I'm ceding my time to Christy Payne.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay. My name is Christy Payne. I reside at 4630 Three Chop Road, Gum Spring, Virginia. Tonight, I would like to bring to your attention several concerns regarding the Valco Goochland LLC track pre-application, which may become a formal rezoning application following next week's community meeting. Although this is not yet an official application, now is the time to ask important questions. Not after a proposal has gained momentum. If this project moves forward, it has the potential to become one of the largest land use decisions in Goochland County's history. That is why I respectfully ask this commission to begin carefully examining the issues before a formal application is submitted. I ask you to look beyond the marketing and focus on what is actually before you. This proposal is not for one data center. It is for approximately 871-acre hyperscale data center campus, with the potential of up to 900 megawatts of electrical demand and up to 12 data center buildings. My question is simple. Who are you approving? TRAC is not a data center operator. Their business model is to acquire land, secure zoning, utilities and infrastructure, and then market shovel-ready campuses to future hyperscale customers. The companies that would actually build and operate these facilities have not been identified. Different operators may have different cooling systems, water demands, generator use, and operating practices. Without knowing the future operators, how can this commission fully evaluate water demand, cooling technology, noise, backup, generators, traffic, lighting, security, emergency services, or future expansion? TRAC was founded in 2022. They have projects across Arizona, Illinois, Iowa, Nevada, Texas, and Utah. However, there is no completed, operated, track, developed campus. Before this board recommends approval, I have questions that I would ask that you consider. Who are you actually approving if the future operators are unknown? What happens if no tenant ever signs? Are all proffers bonding on future owners? Are there performance bonds or letters of credit? Who pays if the project's never completed? Who enforces the proffers in 5, 10, or 20 years? Has Dominion or PJM documented how 900 MW will be served? Could additional substations or transmission infrastructures be required? How much water will be required and where will it come from? Who pays for roads, emergency services, and infrastructure? What enforceable setbacks, buffers, lighting, generator, and noise standards will apply? Has the county evaluated cumulative impacts? These are not anti-business questions. They are responsible planning questions. Once the property is rezoned, Goochland's leverage is significantly reduced. The people who live with the consequences are not future tenants. They are the families who already call Goochland home. Approving zoning before ultimate tenants, power strategy, and supporting infrastructure are known leaves important questions unanswered. Even if the utility has greater financial resources after a merger, the county still has to decide whether the land use proposal itself is appropriate before those downstream details are fully defined. This commission has a responsibility to evaluate not only what is proposed today, but also the long-term consequences of what is being approved. Good planning requires facts, enforceable conditions, and transparency. If those answers are not available, I respectfully ask this commission to recommend denial, or at minimum, recommend delaying action until complete. Transparent and enforceable answers are available. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you very much. All right, don't sit down. Come on up. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Benny Wallbauer, 1457 Stagecoach Road. I cede my time to Ann Bridges.
All right.
My name is Elise Ott, 15633 Mosaic Creek Boulevard, and I cede my time to Ann Bridges.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Ann Bridges. I live at 1283 Flat Rock Crossing in Mannequin Sabbath.
Okay.
I'm a third-generation Goochlander. I graduated from this building.
Huh.
I'm a proud engineer. I went off to Virginia Tech and came back. I've been studying this industry now for the year that I've known about it coming to our county. I have a few concerns, and I think, first, I appreciate all the work that you're doing. I know that it's a tough job, probably not many thanks, and I think you're in a tricky position. But I think it's valuable that I think you understand the power that you have in your hands. The power to grow this county, the power to protect the people, and the power to honor the comprehensive plan that's set forth, that is the contract by which we realize we are living and growing in this county. And I think you probably have passion for that, or you wouldn't have this job. So I realize that's tricky. A couple things I'd like to point out. I think some of the models that are being used for the success of data centers is based upon what's happening in Loudoun County. They are generating profit, they are getting revenues, and it's impressive. However, they were very early to the table. Those data centers are not the data centers that are being proposed in this current pre-application that is a hyperscale data center. And as an engineer, we are trained to look at the application of a design to fit what it's supposed to be doing and where it's going to be. And I know that you respect that. So my concerns are that we're looking at a different animal. Loudoun County built theirs in a zone they had available power from the grid. They had utilities, water, municipal water. This is a county that's rural, you know that. 85 to 87% per your website of us are on well water, me included. In the eastern end of the county, there are a lot of residents, and a lot of us pay high taxes because we have high value property that we sought after to move back. I moved back and brought my family for the quality of life here, for living outdoors, playing outdoors. I live in a horse community. We will be breathing the same air. The horses, the livestock will be breathing air that is going to be contaminated with the generator exhaust, the PM 2.5s that are small enough to cross the blood-brain barrier, and they cross the placental barrier. So not only will we have aborted babies, but so will livestock. And there are some expensive horses in my neighborhood. I'm just saying, it is something that we've moved here to have, that the comprehensive plan said, these are the things we want to grow and have this wonderful, protect this wonderful property. So I feel like we're kind of being cheated here by this scare of bringing in an industry that has merit. However, I'm not sure it's the right application for our environment. And one thing that really concerns me is the water. So I've brought that up about the well water. And I search really hard because I like to do my homework, and I'm sure you do too. But all I can find on the county website, please correct me, is a water study, a water supply report from 2011. That is the most current one that is on your website, the county website. So I would like to ask you, I don't know if I'm allowed to ask or get an answer, has there been one more recent than that and should be provided to the county?
Yeah, I don't have an answer to that.
So that is one question. If information about water supply for these huge water-hungry and power-hungry facilities, and don't talk about closed loops and they save water. These are beasts. There is no denying it, and they will have runoff. So your sewage systems have to be evaluated. If we're using Henricos, that has to be evaluated. And what if they pull the plug? What if they have a water shortage and have to end things? My question is to protect, well, the work you do, but also us. If there becomes a water problem that we can't foresee, what is the backup plan? If they have, because going to the lawyers, we're more like trying to work through this. If suddenly Goochland builds these things and the utility water that is being promised to them suddenly is not available, they are going to show up with their attorneys and hit you so hard to drill. Then you're going to put in jeopardy the water table of 85% of this county. And I would just venture to guess that providing utility water to the entire county is fiscally impossible, given the state of what we got. I don't know how much money it would cost, but I think that's something that needs to be really looked at from an engineering perspective. And I respectfully, thank you, and I hope you guys make a very good decision.
All right, thank you, Ann.
Hi.
Hi, good evening, David.
David Sisson, 5026 Ames Road. I'm about a mile and a half from the VSP proposed location. I'm here to speak mostly about their hours of operation. Let me get my facts here. 3,650 hours of the year, VSP will be open. That's about 82% of daylight hours based on their hours of operation that they attach to their application. That's a lot of our time that is spent waiting to see if there's going to be a gunshot over and over again in an unpredictable way. Dr. Silverman provided a lot of information about health impact of sound and noise on residences around any area, and I appreciate his information there. So we need to be careful about what we grant VSP as far as hours of operation. I think it would be only fair to provide us more than 20% of daylight hours every year free from this nuisance. One of the issues with the sound study is that we haven't received it yet. Last time, I believe it got delivered the night before a meeting, and thankfully the Planning Commission deferred to get a chance to read it. My understanding is you have not yet received, as of today, the sound study, but they are on the docket next month. I would say that if you don't have 30 days to review that sound study before you're able to make a decision on it, then they should be deferred again until you have the chance to actually review it, the community has a chance to review it, and that we can talk about some of the weaknesses of the original study and whether this new study has those same weaknesses, particularly around averaging sound over time, which really changes what seems like not much background noise into just background noise. Sort of like if I was to drive 90 in a school zone and then park for an hour, my average speed for that day or that hour might be 3 or 4 miles an hour because I stopped. But that 90 miles an hour does have an effect on those kids that are trying to cross the road. That's essentially what a gunshot is. That high, quick impulse happens over and over again, and that average of background noise might be way lower. If that's all they're providing you, it's going to hide. It's going to hide that spike. So just take a look at that study, make sure you're reading it carefully, and ask questions about some of these ways that they're providing that information. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
All right, thank you, David. Yes, please.
My name's Jim Christian. I live at 1950 Cartersville Road, Mineral, Virginia address. I'm just outside of Goochland in Louisa, but about a mile within the VSP proposed area for your shooting range.
Okay.
I was speaking at one of the other meetings as well, and I can tell you that the sound is going to travel a lot further than what you think. I've had friends 2 miles away that can hear us shooting on our farm. I propose that you allow them to do a serious shooting test on a Saturday for about 3 hours with they're talking 50 shooting stations. You have them get 25 people together and shoot for 3 hours straight at 75 rounds a minute. You know, with 50 people, 25 people, that'd be easy to do. But let them do that for like 3 hours and then see what kind of backlash you're going to get, because you're going to find out that everybody within a mile is going to go, what in the world is going on? What's this war zone? And it's going to sound like a war zone from then on if you allow it in your county. And it's going to be pretty sad, and you're going to have just as many angry people about that as you are about data centers, and then some. I'm serious. It's not a good thing for our neighborhood. I know I'm lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones. I'm like 2,000 feet away from it, but I've several friends within 4,000 or 5,000 feet of it, and we already know how much the sound travels. Where they're going to do the proposed site, there's a creek that comes out of there, and it's lowland sound carries for a long ways. So I'll be listening to it forever on my land at the lower portion of our farm. If you're there, you won't have any peace anymore, because I'm just imagining it's never going to stop. It'll be forever, because that's how many people are going to show up and shoot. And at times it'll be large crowds, and 100 rounds a minute it won't be it'd be a small test compared to what it could sound like. So I hope you guys will really seriously consider forcing them to do a 3-hour test on a Saturday, and make sure everybody around will know about the test, and then you'll find out how many people are really upset about it, because a lot of people in the area still don't know about it. I've talked to some that live close in Goochland, and I don't know, are they doing that here? And then they've moved closer. You left an area with on top of 10 or 15 houses, and now you have 100 houses within a half a mile between Louisa and Goochland. So it's going to be a lot of upset people. But thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Dave. Thanks, Jim.
I almost inadvertently started off by saying good morning. Hopefully this meeting won't go that long. But good evening, Commissioner.
Good evening.
And good evening, Chairman. My name is Kevin Larson. I live at 4638 Walton Road. Louisa is the thing, but I'm in Goochland County in the Haydensville area. And I've really appreciated how the county has stepped forward on a lot of these different issues on both sides. And it has been a real encouragement to me to see people on both sides of the issues coming forward and talking over these things that are important. It shows that we are passionate about our county. We're passionate about where we live and the people who live around us, and for the future of this county. I also appreciated one of the earlier people speaking in favor of VSP. I am not in favor of their park, calling for facts, and I am very much in favor of that. My background has been as a researcher at a Department of Defense laboratory. I've published many papers, most of which are protected unless you have certain clearance levels, but you can see one of my papers out there, and you might be impressed by seeing the work that I've done in climatology and meteorology. And so when we start talking about facts, I really have a little bit of a problem with how that was presented, because when the sound study for the previous test was put forth and discussed here, Commissioner Dean, and I think as well you, Mr. Kimberly, had some very pertinent questions that you asked about the methodology. And you know how much response we got on the methodology and the issues with it from VSP and from their representatives? Zero. They used an incorrect methodology and never came back to discuss it with us. We've reached out to them and tried to make arrangements to meet with them, but there's been no response back from VSP. When the question about lead in the aquifer, as the previous speaker was brought up, a mysterious geologist who never told us what his qualifications were or anything like that. He presented information with great certainty that they were facts, even though they directly contradict what you see on EPA's website. So facts are kind of a strange thing, and when we talk about this issue with the sports park, we really do need to get down to what's going on. And some of the facts is VSP is dismissive of their neighbors. They have promised many things and then reneged on them. Personally, I've shot guns since I was in the single digits. I've grown up around them. I've also worked in data centers. I might be one of the unique people in the building who's had that opportunity. I've published scientific items. Facts are great, but VSP is light on facts and they're heavy on smoke and mirrors. I actually think that they might need to be renamed the Canadian Wildfire people. So thank you very much. I appreciate your work. I'm sorry for the snide remarks, but I'm passionate about Goochland and its future, and I need to get this message across to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin. Hi.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Katrina Dalton, and I live at 4621 Walton Road. I've been a resident of Walton Road for over 25 years and a Goochland resident for over 30 years. My comments are in regard to VSP's application. As a constitutional conservative and someone who has helped put several Goochland residents on the ballot in very recent years, I've been called a lot of things, but a gun grabber or a city slicker has never been one of them. But the fact is, that's what a lot of VSP supporters want to paint us as, and that couldn't be further from the truth. This is a matter of property rights, not Second Amendment rights. The term NIMBY, not in my backyard, is a flippant aspersion that assumes any project is inherently suitable for any property, and that objections to the contrary are only because someone is capricious. But does anyone have the right to use their property in a way which will diminish the ability of neighboring property owners to enjoy their backyards? Goochland's own ordinances take this question into consideration, as Chapter 15 zoning, Section 15-60 on conditional use permits imposes the standard that the establishment of conditional use will not be detrimental or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare, and that it will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity. You will note the completeness of the phrasing. There is to be no level of detriment to one's comfort or general welfare. There is to be no injury to use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity. This is fact. On June 9th, VSP conducted yet another shooting demonstration. Unfortunately, it did not alleviate our concerns about noise, it confirmed them. Even at a distance of a mile, the noise was audible inside my home, and there are 120 homes within a mile of the proposed site, as confirmed by Goochland GIS records. So this is fact. This also includes the Louisa residents that will be affected by this. That demonstration was just for 30 minutes, but if VSP is permitted to be operational, it would persist for 9 to 11 hours almost every day of the year. This is not in any way able to comply with Goochland County's zoning ordinances. Their proposed hours of operation are aggressive, 9 to 6 p.m. on standard time and 9 to 8 p.m. on daylight savings times. If Congress actually finally approves daylight savings year-round, VSP could shoot till 8 p.m. in the winter, which is 2 hours past sunset. So I think the county needs to take a close look that if for some strange reason you think, oh, we can make this comply with the ordinance, it needs to have conditions that will be restrictive and beneficial to those of us living around them. I thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Katrina.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners, and County staff. My name is Madison Holcomb, and I live off of Walton Store Road. I appreciate the opportunity.
Madison, can you speak louder?
Yeah, sorry.
I know.
My name is Madison Todd, and I live off of Walton Store Road. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight regarding the proposed Virginia Sports Park shooting facility. First, I want to acknowledge that Virginia Sports Park has made an effort to address community concerns by modifying the layout of the proposed facility. We appreciate that they listened to residents and attempted to move portions of the project. However, while the location has changed, the fundamental concern has not. The people who live nearby will still be impacted by the noise generated by this facility. In fact, for my family, the revised layout makes our situation even worse. With the addition of more shooting stations and the orientation of some of those stations now facing toward our home, we expect an even greater direct impact than under the original proposal. I also want to address the shooting demonstration that took place in June. We appreciate that Virginia Sports Park conducted a demonstration, but I do not believe it accurately represented what this facility would sound like during normal operations. During the demonstration, shooters were not firing from all the proposed shooting stations. That means the sound experienced by nearby residents reflected only a portion of the activity that is being requested for approval. It did not simulate multiple stations operating simultaneously or the cumulative effect of a fully functioning facility. Because only a limited number of shooting stations were used during the demonstration, it is difficult to draw meaningful conclusions about the noise levels that nearby residents would experience if the facility were operating as proposed. Before a decision is made, I believe we all should have a clear understanding of the sound generated under conditions that closely resemble normal operations. The families who live around this property are not opposed to recreation or responsible outdoor activities. We simply ask that the Commission carefully evaluate the impacts on the people who have invested in their homes and expect to enjoy them without the continuous sound of gunfire. I respectfully ask the Commission to carefully consider whether the June shooting demonstration accurately reflected the noise levels that nearby residents would experience if this project is approved. Before making a decision, I encourage the Commission to require a demonstration or other evidence that represents full operational conditions, including activity at all proposed shooting stations, particularly those oriented toward neighboring homes, rather than relying on a limited demonstration that did not reflect the facility's proposed operation. The decisions made regarding this application will affect not only our properties, but the quality of life of the families who have called and will continue to call this place home. Thank you for your time, your service to Goochland County, and your thoughtful consideration of the concerns raised by the surrounding community. Thank you.
Thank you, Madison. David?
Good evening, Chairman. Good evening, Chairman,
There you go.
Commissioners.
That's better.
My name's David Holcomb. I live at 4924 Penny Lane, and I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words this evening. I am here to speak in opposition to the proposed, applied conditional use permit by the Virginia Sports Park at the current location on Old Fredericksburg Road. I've been a resident for 30 years here in Goochland. Love the county, love the people, love the community. But I am opposed to the shotgun shooting range portion of the conditional use permit. And as you've heard earlier, it's all about the noise. It's going to be more than just a nuisance. It's going to be a serious detriment to the way of life for the over 120 residents that live within a mile of the location. I would only like to see Virginia Sports Park consider a more rural location, because certainly that is easily accessible within 15 minutes of this proposed location. And certainly would like for the Board of Supervisors and the Planning Commission to consider the number of homes that would be impacted should they receive permission to build there and operate there. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Dave. Yes, good evening.
Good evening. My name is Lena
Why don't you
Taylor.
pull that mic down just a little bit? There you go.
My name is Lena Taylor, and I live at 4250 Haydensville Farms Road. Mailing address is Mineral, but it's Goochland. We feel like the west end of Goochland is being picked on terribly. Number one, recently it was the data center, and it was going to come right behind our subdivision. And now it's the Virginia Sports Park. We moved out there, we built out there 33 years ago for the rural effect. I've watched a deer give birth to a fawn and an eagle catch a fish out of the lake. That's what I moved out there for, not to hear guns going off and all kinds of noises and pollution and so forth. We have a marvelous neighborhood with wonderful neighbors, and we do not need all of this noise and so forth. The lake, if you're going west on I-64 to take the Haydensville exit, you look to your immediate right just before you get off of that exit. That's where our lake is. Now you have to go down Old Fredericksburg Road to come back to it, but we are literally that close to it. And the echoing that will come off of that lake is going to be unbelievable, going 7 days a week, that many hours during the day. So we need you all to stop and think, just because we're the west end, way out there and just barely Goochland maybe, our votes and our opinions are important, and we don't want our privacy and our rural life to be disturbed. It's even been called undeveloped land. It isn't undeveloped. Come out and look. We've got beautiful homes and stuff out there. It is our sanctuary. Let's keep it that way. And we thank you all for what you're doing. But really stop and think, do you want these things in your backyard? Because I don't think you do. So we'd appreciate the same thought. And quit picking on the west end of Goochland. We need some help, guys. So thank you all so much for your time.
All right, thank you, Lena.
Mhm.
Good evening, Mr. Commissioner and Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, and Commissioners. My name is Kirby Montgomery. I live at 9603 Infinity Terrace in Mosaic at West Creek. I am one of many who have grave concerns regarding the construction of an approximate 900-acre, 900-megawatt hyperscale data center adjacent to and within 500 feet of the property line of our neighborhood. While there are many reasons for this concern, tonight I will keep it simple and speak only to one: noise. I had no experience with the sounds that may emanate from a data center, so recently I took a drive over to Sandston to the QTS data center, which is a 207-acre, 238-megawatt data center. I stood near Gate 3 by the fence. It was a Sunday, so there was little traffic on the nearby Technology Drive. I was about 500 feet away from the nearest building. The decibel meter on my phone registered from the mid-50s to the low 60s. The sound was a steady, droning hum, not loud, but constant. I drove to another location, and from about 1,000 feet from the nearest building, there the decibel level ranged up to the mid-60s. Again, a steady, droning hum. These decibel levels are smack on the TOD limit regulations for noise of between 55 to 65 decibels. Bear in mind that this steady droning hum is ever present, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. If your home is within range of this noise, as many of our homes would be, it is with you every day. When you walk your dog, when you sit on your back patio, or while you do anything at your home. Is this how you would like to live? And may I mention, the proposed approximate 257 generators. Of these, 25 may operate at the same time during the permitted 2-hour maintenance period. The acoustical modeling forecast a 105 decibel level for these generators, and they are exempt from the TOD design decibel limits during maintenance periods. I don't think this is how you want to live, and neither do we. I hope you will take this into your consideration as you review the conditional use permit for Tract. I thank you for your time and for your service to our community.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Winley Gravitt, and I live at 901 Sunset Drive in Mannequin-Sabot, and I'm here to request the commission vote no on the conditional use permit for the data center. We have a small homestead on 5 acres that we own. It has been lovely for the last 8 years. We have established a garden business that is registered with the county and requires bees. There is documented evidence that the EMFs generated by data centers kill bees. This will impact my livelihood. The noise will also be very disruptive to our lives. I can hear leaf blowers from Kinloch Golf Course just about every morning, which is over a mile away from our home. These are very similar decibel levels to what is being proposed. As many have said here tonight, where is the water going to come from? I have already had to frack my well once, and a neighbor across Hockett just had to drill a new one last week. This is a precious resource that is already at risk. I would like to know if the county will reduce the tax assessment for the value of our homes near the proposed data center. There is no doubt that our property values will be negatively impacted if approved. Not lowering the assessment in accordance will be equivalent to theft from your citizens. If you do reduce these assessments, that is likely to be a large hit to the amount of personal property tax that the county receives, given that the median home value in that area is around $800,000. I appreciate your time and respectfully vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, Wynn.
Good evening. My name's Judy Thompson. I live at 3370 North Road in Sandy Hook in District 2. I have found that the CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, has a free app that measures noise that they recommend. I've downloaded it on my iPhone, and I've been playing with it. It's interesting to note that you have 3 freestanding chillers in the room tonight offering some background noise. At the Board of Supervisors meeting last week, the ambient noise without people talking or clapping was around 50 decibels. This evening, that same noise is ranging from 70 to 80, and those are dBAs. I have since been learning about dBAs versus dBCs. dBCs in this evening's room is 91.8 on average. I know that the TOD and the application from Tract all refer to dBAs. Industry standard, from what I'm reading recently, says that we should be listening to things in dBCs when we're looking at industrial use. It's a different quality of sound. It travels further. It permeates more, it permeates deeper, it permeates into the ground and into the trees and into the water. We don't know what this does to our aquatic life. We don't know what this does to the terrestrial life. Those have not been studied very well at all. I can't find a single positive study, or any study, really, on the terrestrial and water impact on the environment from data centers. This tracked data center is very close to waterways, major waterways, that we rely on for recreation and our health. If we don't know what the data center does to the waterway, how are we going to begin to mitigate it? We really, in my opinion, need to pause and revisit standards, regulations, hopeful outcomes, and write those into our regulations, bring our definitions forward so that they reflect our current state of economy and not a historic 15-year-old comprehensive plan definition. What was written then was never thought to be existent today. And so the two do not align. So I had lots of other things to say this evening, but your air conditioning systems just took the cake.
Thank you very much, Judy. All right, do we have another front row of people?
Mr. Chairman, there is nobody else in any of the other rooms who wish to speak at this point.
Okay. All right, well then, I will close the public comment period. And do we have any unfinished business?
We have, we have no unfinished business. There is one item of new business, District 5.
Can you hold for just a moment?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for everybody who came in support of and to express their concerns. I've made a lot of notes. We do appreciate hearing from you. Thank you. All right, go ahead, Ms. Parker. Okay. The what?
Oh.
Oh. The new business? I see. Right. All right. Apparently, our staff has been out facilitating the movement of people, and so, and we're trying to locate who would be the next speaker for the next case. So in the meantime, I would propose at 7:45 that maybe we take a 10-minute recess and reconvene at 8 o'clock. All right. This meeting is in recess. with us. It is 8 o'clock now on my phone. We probably should adjust that clock. So I now reopen the Planning Commission meeting for July 16th, 2026. And we start with our new business.
Yes, sir. We do have one item of new business, District 5, CMP 2026-3, application by Trinity Capital Acquisitions, LLC, requesting approval of a conceptual master plan for a warehouse industrial use on 60.58 acres on tax map number 6337160, 6337170, 6337180, and 6337190 in West Creek Business Park. The property is zoned Industrial Limited M1 with proffered conditions and is governed by the proffers associated with West Creek Business Park. The comprehensive plan designates this area as prime economic development.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Good evening, Board, Planning Commissioners. My name is John Michael Whalen. I'm a planner with the county, and tonight I bring before you a request for approval of the conceptual master plan for Trinity Capital Acquisitions, LLC, for 3 warehouse buildings in the West Creek Business Park. The project area is zoned Industrial Limited M1 with proffers and is located on the west side of West Creek Parkway, north of Patterson Avenue and west of Route 288. The comprehensive plan describes this location as prime economic development. The vicinity map on the left portion of the slide shows the project area circled in red, and the aerial photo map on the right portion of the slide shows the subject parcels. The zoning map on the left portion of the slide shows the subject parcels as zoned Industrial Limited M1, with the parcels to the west zoned A2, belonging to the Richmond Country Club, the parcels to the east zoned M1, being vacant wooded lots, the parcel directly north zoned as M1, which is Kindred Spirits, and the parcel to the south is zoned M1 and vacant. The comprehensive map on the right portion of the slide shows the subject parcels as prime economic development. So the request tonight is for approval of a conceptual master plan permitted as CMP 2026-00003 for 3 warehouse buildings. This request is required due to the proffers associated with the West Creek Business Park, which requires the Planning Commission review and approval of conceptual master plans within the office park. This consideration is an action item and is not a public hearing item. The proposed use as a warehouse is permitted by right within the M1 district, and the West Creek proffers are quite extensive and we included some items from the list of those proffers on the slide here. I did skip over one here. I apologize for that. So to kind of go back a little bit, this is a newer slide, I apologize, but I wanted to kind of give the background of what we're here for, since these are relatively uncommon. Probably will be more common in the future. But so the way this process works for these conceptual master plans is we have the Planning Commission review, which ensures that any of the developments that go into West Creek align with the overall vision and the design framework for West Creek that was approved during the rezoning process many years ago. The West Creek master plan is flexible because there's not a huge overall conceptual master plan for the park, but the proffers allow you all the flexibility with the differences in things like buffer requirements and what those things look like. They can give you flexibility in parking setbacks, building setbacks. Kind of, instead of it all being uniform, it gives you a little bit of flexibility in what is going into the park. Part of this also is the staff evaluation. So before this comes to you all, typically staff will be reviewing a lot of the technical details that are provided in a plan of development. So we'll be looking at what is the land use, what is proposed, what is the site layout, stormwater challenges, landscaping, transportation issues, turn lanes, like all these things that are associated in technical aspects of the site plan that typically will be evaluated either during this process or will already have been undergone. In this case, we're on the second submittal for this plan, which is being reviewed by county staff and VDOT. So the applicant has already received comments. They've been working with staff and state agencies to make sure that this plan will comply with the proffers of West Creek and our zoning ordinance, comprehensive plan. All these things are taken into account. And then, of course, the last piece of this is the engineering. So these are site plans. These will be, what is proposed to you is conceptual in nature, but what will be constructed will be based upon these conceptual plans. So oftentimes, they might be operating in tandem. We might be looking at a conceptual as the POD is developing, but they will help guide each other. Sometimes it's good to get a little bit of a look at the site from a technical perspective, so we don't have to go back and change the conceptual and go back and forth. So that's where we're at for this particular application. And I'll scoot one more over. So this is just an overall shot of the conceptual plan. There's 3 buildings that are proposed. The sizes vary from about 100,000 square feet up to a little bit over 200,000 square feet. So the approximate total square footage is about 550,000. Now this is conceptual, so the numbers are not, set in stone, but that's what the target is based on what's been submitted today. As you can see, there's pretty extensive buffering and road screening along the frontage there of West Creek Parkway. Also adjacent to the Richmond Country Club in the rear there, there's a pretty good infilling of trees, vegetative screening. There's 2 entrances that are proposed. As you can see, they're right-ins and right and left turn lanes for both. Like I said, these have all been reviewed by county staff at least once. So Fire's had a chance to look at these things. Transportation's had a chance to look. E&S, all the departments that review these site plans have had a chance to look and offer comment. And so from the staff evaluation, the conceptual plan is intended to be general in nature, and the plan of development will follow as closely as feasible what is approved by the conceptual plan. If there is conflict or field conditions or some changes or need to be made as part of the POD after a conceptual plan is approved, the applicant would come back to you all, and if there's substantial difference, you would reevaluate the conceptual plan if it differs substantially from what was approved previously. As I mentioned before, there is an active POD, which is the ID is 2605. It has been submitted as review and started review. It does include, all the stormwater things, turn lanes, internal traffic flows, parking, lighting, landscaping, all the technical aspects. And from the initial evaluation, it is in accordance with the comprehensive plan and the applicable proffers for the area.
Okay.
Do you all have any questions?
Any questions?
One question real quick. Can you back that to the slide before?
Sure.
That is a water tower, correct? Is that a water tower?
Up in the, are you talking about the plan northwest
top
there?
left, yeah. Mhm.
I believe that's cell tower.
Or is that a cell tower?
Or is it the water tower? I'm going to see if I can get a better shot at it. No, that is, let's see. Is that?
Did the applicant in?
Water tower? Yeah.
It is the water
is the
tower,
water
okay.
tower. You're
So
right.
there's, and I'm assuming that's an access road to get to that water
Yes.
tower. So
Yep.
that'll stay in place and that's not going to be disturbed?
Yeah,
or
it has its
rerouted?
own easement and
Okay.
everything, and it's called out on the plans, so that access remains.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, no problem. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, would the applicant like to speak then?
Do you want to say anything, or are you good?
No, I don't
I
think.
don't have any questions.
I don't think so. Okay. Thank you.
Cool, okay. Very good.
Very good.
Well, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
I
Okay.
can make a motion?
Yeah.
If we're good, okay. I move that the commission approve conceptual master plan CMP 2026-00003, application by Trinity Capital Acquisitions LLC.
I second.
All right, and can we get a roll call vote?
Yes, sir. Mr. Kimmerly?
Aye.
Mr. Patak?
Aye.
Ms. Kowalski?
Aye.
The motion to approve passes on a 3-0 vote.
All right,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thanks, John Michael. All right, do we have any requests to defer?
We have no request to defer,
changes?
deletions, or changes to the order of the public hearings.
Okay.
Our first public hearing this evening is in District 4, CU 2026-8, application by Guy and Eva Hansen requesting a conditional use permit, CUP, for an accessory family housing unit detached on 3.65 acres at 1451 Hockett Road on tax map number 58100910. The property is zoned agricultural limited A2. The CUP is required by County Zoning Ordinance, Section 15112, in accordance with Section 15285A. The comprehensive plan designates this area as suburban residential.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission.
Yeah. I don't know. Are these directional mics or? I mean, do you need to speak right down? I think you might have to speak right down the barrel.
Actually,
a little bit.
Okay.
Right down the barrel.
Little
Yeah.
bit.
All right.
Go ahead, try it.
For the record, my name
There you
is
go.
Ben Ellis. I am a
That's awesome.
planner with the county. Thank you. Before you is an application by Guy and Eva Hansen for a conditional use permit for an accessory family housing unit detached. The property is located on about 3.5 acres on Hockett Road in District 4. The map on the left shows the general vicinity of the property within the county. The map on the right shows the property outlined in red. The property is surrounded on 3 sides by the Reeders Branch neighborhood. The property is zoned A2, Agricultural Limited. Adjacent properties are zoned Residential, Planned Unit Development, and Agricultural Limited. The comprehensive plan designates the property as suburban residential, with other nearby future land uses being single-family residential medium density, semi-public, and prime economic development. The property is currently occupied by a single-family dwelling and a detached garage. The applicant is requesting an accessory family housing unit detached. It will be served by public water and sewer. On the conceptual plan, the existing house is located right here, and the proposed house is located right here. This plan is conceptual in nature. The applicant hosted a community meeting on May 14th at 36 Broad Street Road. 12 citizens attended, as well as Supervisor Lyle and Commissioners Patuck and Dean. The applicant's representative explained the proposal, and discussion included setbacks, family occupancy, height, architectural style, facade orientation, timeline of construction, modes of heating for the proposed dwelling, emergency access, and the timeline for application process. As stated, the comprehensive plan designates this area as suburban residential. This is defined as single-family residential uses with a maximum density of 2.5 units per acre. This classification generally corresponds with the R1 and R3 and RPUD zoning districts. Section 15-60 of the Goochland County Zoning Ordinance lays out standards of review for conditional use permits. Generally, consideration should be taken regarding an application's impacts on the surrounding properties as well as public safety, health, and the general welfare. Staff has recommended the standard conditions for this use. The first 2 conditions relate to the use of the property and dwelling, including its limitation to family members of the existing dwelling. The third condition prevents a separate rental of the dwelling. The fourth condition requires proper emergency access. If approved, condition 5 provides that this permit is valid for a period of 10 years. The last condition is the county's standard transfer and lease language. And finally, I'd be happy to answer any questions from the commission.
Ben, with a property of this size,
Yes.
if at some point in the future families moved in and then families moved out, if he would like to subdivide, is this property subdividable so that he could actually sell 2 parts? Sell off 1 part of the property? I believe it's about 3.5 acres, roughly. I'm sorry, what is it?
At 3.6 acres, there's not enough acreage on the property to meet the minimum zoning requirements for the A2 zoning district. So no, it is not subdividable.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I was a little confused by the suburban residential, which 2.5 units per acre.
Yes.
Which is, okay.
It's a maximum, recommended maximum
Right.
density.
So, but this could not be broken into separate properties.
Not by right.
Right, they have to come back to us for that?
Theoretically, it could be rezoned, but practically, given the lot layout, it is unlikely,
Okay.
especially given the pond on the property, which
Okay.
hinders the future development of the property.
All right, thank you. I don't have any other questions.
I have no questions.
Great, thank you.
Would the applicant like to speak?
Nope.
Okay, we're good, thank you.
Mr. Commissioner, I move that the commission
We do
recommend.
need to open the public hearing for this item.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, is there anybody here that is to speak speak about this particular application? All right, I'm closing the public hearing portion of this case. Now,
I move that the commission recommend approval of conditional use permit CUP 2026000008 application by Guy and Eva Hansen, subject to the imposed conditions as presented.
I'll second.
all right, is there any additional discussion before we go to a vote?
Yep.
All right, vote please.
Yes, sir. Ms. Kowalski?
Aye.
Mr. Patak?
Aye.
Mr. Kimmerly?
Aye.
The motion to recommend approval passes on a 3-0 vote. This case is tentatively scheduled to be heard by the Board of Supervisors on September 1st, 2026. It moves forward with a recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission. Our next public hearing item this evening is District 3, CU 2026-9, application by Bethel United Methodist Church, requesting a conditional use permit CUP for an electronic message board on 1.91 acres at 1981 Cardwell Road on tax map number 4510310. The applicant seeks an exception to the electronic message board standard in County Zoning Ordinance Section 15416 to allow messages to change more frequently than once per minute. The property is zoned agricultural limited A2. The CUP is required by County Zoning Ordinance Section 15416, and the exception is requested under 15416B of the County Zoning Ordinance. The comprehensive plan designates this area as semi-public.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Mr. Chairman, as I'm testing out my mic, are you able to hear me a little louder?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I may yell a bit. It's not intentional.
Okay.
For the record, my name is Carrie Ragland. I'm the Assistant Planning Director for the county, and I'll be presenting the staff presentation. As stated, this request is within District 3 and is an application for a conditional use permit to allow for an electronic message board with an exception. The vicinity map shows the subject area outlined in red, which is near the center of the county on the northern portion of Cardwell Road. And the aerial photo on the right shows the subject property outlined in red, located in a generally rural area with nearby residences. The property is located on the eastern half of Cardwell Road and is about 1/4 of a mile north of Shepherdtown Road. The zoning map shows the subject property and all adjacent properties as the A2 agricultural district. And the comprehensive plan map on the right shows the subject property as semi-public, which is due to the church use, and all adjacent properties as rural enhancement area. The property was developed as a church with the adjacent parsonage on a separate parcel, which is visible in the image on the screen here. So we have the church and the nearby residence. The property front is mostly open with a large front parking area and the existing monument sign surrounded by shrubs, which I will point out here. The property is accessed by 2 driveways on either side of the parking area, and all surrounding adjacent uses are residential uses. The applicant is requesting approval of an electronic message board with an exception for allowing the messaging to change once every 15 seconds rather than once every minute, which is the current standard. As stated before, there is an existing monument sign on the property to which the applicant is requesting to retrofit the interior for the electronic message board. On the screen is a page from the conceptual plan which shows the site layout. You can see here the church at the center of the property and the existing sign at the front of the property, outlined in red. You can also see the adjacent residences nearby, including the parsonage located here. The slide is another page within the conceptual plan which shows the existing messaging sign as it appears today on the left and the proposed sign with the interior retrofitted as an electronic message board. The top portion, which displays the name of the church, is illuminated currently but is not part of the electronic message board. I'll also point out here, while it's visible on the screen, the existing landscaping, which is generally shrubs around the sign base. Retention of this vegetation is a proposed condition for this application. The subject property is within the A2 Agricultural District, under which an electronic message board sign is permitted with a conditional use permit. County code also regulates the size of signs, the allowance for which varies by district. Within the A2 district, the maximum square feet allowed is 32. The applicant is proposing 21 square feet of messaging, which is not a change from the current use. Electronic message boards are also regulated by the standards in section 15416. I have summarized that section on the screen, which is that messages cannot be flashing, cannot change more than once every minute. If there is a malfunction, the screen must change to a dark screen. Illumination cannot exceed half a foot candle from the property line. The same messaging must be on both sides of the sign. Signs are required to be turned off by 11 p.m., and the lighting cannot shine directly towards any dwelling. Section 15416 further states that the following should be taken into consideration with the CUP, such as the proportion of the sign face, use of colors, relationship to nearby residences, distance to other electronic message boards, speed of the roadway, and the general character of the area as well as landscaping. Just walking through some of those considerations on that previous screen, the electronic portion of the sign would measure about 12 square feet within the overall sign measurements of 21 square feet. This would create about 57% of the sign area as electronic. The colors would be varied within the messaging. There are 6 electronic message boards in the county, with the closest one located at Randolph Elementary School, which is approximately half a mile from this proposed sign at Bethel United Methodist Church. And continuing to walk through those considerations, the area surrounding the church is comprised of mostly single-family residences of various size and vacant land. All properties adjacent to the church are zoned A2. The closest house is approximately 250 feet to the southeast from the proposed sign here. That property is also owned by the church. The next closest residence is approximately 315 feet to the southwest. There are also 2 residences across from Cardwell, which measure about 330 feet to the northwest here and 600 feet to the north up here. The existing sign is currently surrounded by landscaping as shown before, mostly large shrubs. The applicant is not proposing any changes to the landscaping. The major thoroughfare plan designates Cardwell as a minor collector with a speed limit of 55 miles per hour. The semi-public land use category is identified as including properties such as private schools, churches, and cemeteries. However, the adjacent properties are all identified as rural enhancement area, which should exhibit a generally rural character with low-density residential. The applicant is requesting to change the messaging to no more than once every 15 seconds rather than once every minute. Since this ordinance was passed in 2020 to allow for electronic message boards, 5 have been approved. You can see from the chart on the screen that they have generally been churches and schools, and they have all been granted the same exception to allow for 15-second changeover in the messaging. Tommy's Car Wash, which is the only commercial use, remained at the 1-minute requirement. A community meeting was held on Monday, May 11th, with 7 attendees, as well as the applicant, his representative, and Supervisor Winfrey. There were questions regarding the county's base ordinance requirements, frequency of the message changing, brightness of the screen, compatibility with rural surroundings, and how the sign would be managed in the event of a malfunction. As a result of the community meeting, the applicant has specifically requested that a condition to turn off the sign by 10 p.m. rather than 11 p.m. be implemented with approval of the permit, and this is directly due to citizen feedback at the community meeting. On this slide and the following are the proposed conditions. I'll walk you through these quickly. The first condition allows for an electronic message board sign to be constructed and operated on the property, subject to these conditions, unless exceptions are granted. And you will see on condition 6 there is an exception. Condition 2 states that the electronic message board design will be in compliance with Exhibit A. Condition 3, the electronic message board sign's location and design shall be in compliance with Exhibit A. It must be placed outside of the right-of-way, meeting all zoning district requirements. Condition 4 states that the landscaping that exists now must be maintained in keeping with the existing shrubs demonstrated in the conceptual plan, including replacing dead or diseased plants. And this condition was added in lieu of requiring them to submit a full landscaping plan since the landscaping already existed. Condition 5 is the standard transfer lease language. Condition 6 is the exception where the applicant is granted an exception to allow for the messaging to change no more than once every 15 seconds. Condition 7, brightness controls. This typically reads that the sign must be turned off between 11 p.m. and sunrise. This was changed to 10 p.m. and sunrise due to community feedback. Okay. Mr. Chairman, this concludes the staff presentation. The applicant is here if you have any questions. Do you have any questions for me?
I have none for you. Thank you.
I do not.
The applicant like to speak?
If you would state your
You
name,
don't have
Mr.
to.
Donovan,
You
sorry.
don't have to.
No?
Okay.
All right. I'd like to open the public comment period related to this case, if there's anybody that would like to speak on this issue.
Good evening again.
Again.
My name is Judy Thompson.
Yes.
I live at 3370 North Road, Sandy Hook, District 2. I had no intention of speaking about this case. I have no issues and no ties with Bethel United Methodist Church.
Okay.
My problem is that at 55 miles an hour, reading a message on a 21 square foot sign distracts drivers on a 2-lane road. That doesn't sound like public safety.
Okay.
So I question why we need to grant the exception for changing the messaging every 15 seconds. I understand it's been granted for other schools and other churches, and those too, I have wondered, why? Why are we distracting people on Route 522 with changing messages every 15 seconds at the Gum Spring Methodist Church, which I guess technically is not in Goochland, but
I was wondering why my church was not on
Right.
that list, but you're right, it's in Louisa.
it's in Louisa as I speak. Now it dawns on me.
Yes.
But other message boards changing that quickly are distractions. And if it's a major collector and we have young drivers driving to school on major collectors, we really don't need to distract them. Nor do we need to distract anybody else who's hurtling down a 2-lane road at 55 miles an hour.
All right.
So I would urge you not to grant exceptions to changing messages every 15 seconds, not just at this church, but for any electronic signs.
Okay.
Humans need time to process. 15 seconds while they're processing all the other information coming at them while driving might not be the best use of our driving time. That's all. So,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Would the applicant like to speak now?
David Donovan.
Wait till you get to the mic. There you go.
David Donovan. I live at 1873 Greenbrier Branch Drive, and I'm chairman of trustees for Bethel.
Okay.
On Carwell Road. One correction, the speed limit on that road is 45 and not 55,
Okay.
and that's the biggest thing. And again, I can understand anybody's concern about messages and whatever, because they can be distracting, but I have found that most people realize that it can be distracting, and if they don't want to be distracted, then they just don't look at it. So I don't really see a problem. If it was, I think we'd have a problem all over the country. They'd be taking these signs down. And that's all I have to say.
All
Thank you
right.
very much for your time.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this case? All right, seeing no others, I'm going to close the public comment period on this case and look to my colleagues.
I think the young lady's comment is fair, and I'm glad to hear it's 45 instead of 55, because I think that's worse. Also, we've set a precedent with the other churches. I don't think we should really change the horse in the middle of the stream.
I'm going to interrupt you for just a minute, and let's have a motion, and then we'll have our discussion.
Okay?
All right. Would you like to
I
make?
move the commission recommend approval of conditional use permit CU 2026-00009, application by Bethel United Methodist Church, subject to the imposed conditions.
My thoughts are Randolph Elementary has one every 15 seconds. Worked there, had no distractions. Goochland Elementary has one every 15 seconds. And these are outside of the school zone hours, and no issues that we're aware of. Has fire or rescue had any issues with any that you know of with these signs at 15 seconds to cause accidents, especially around the school zones? Okay, yeah, I mean, if we're putting it in an elementary school and it's changing every 15 seconds, there's hundreds of cars coming by and in and out, and buses and traffic and kids, and so I don't.
And likewise for the Gum Spring United Methodist Church on the 522 as well. I mean, if there were any issues there, you would be called, not the Louisa Fire and Rescue.
That's right there at the line. None that I know of.
Related to the sign.
Yeah, nothing jumping out at me.
Okay.
Remember off the top of my head.
Okay. All right. Well, we have a motion on the floor.
I'll second.
All right.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
hang on. Before we, is there additional discussion?
No.
No.
All right. Then let's go with the vote then.
Yes, sir. Mr. Kimmerly,
Aye.
Mr. Patak,
Aye.
Ms. Kowalski.
Aye.
The motion to recommend approval passes on a 3-0 vote. This case is tentatively scheduled to be heard by the Board of Supervisors on September 1st, 2026. It moves forward with a recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission. Our next public hearing item this evening is in District 5, CU 2026-10, application by Steve Krikovic requesting to renew conditional use permit CUP KCU 2021-1 for automobile sales on .382 acres at 504 Wilton Road on tax map number 647-0B1A. The property is zoned Business General B1. The CUP is required by County Zoning Ordinance, Section 15242, and the comprehensive plan designates this area as commercial.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, I'm Jamie Sherry, Director of Planning and Zoning. The next item before you this evening is an application by Steve Krikovic, doing business as West Creek Motors. The request is for a renewal of a conditional use permit for automobile sales. The property is located on Wilton Road and is in District 5. The vicinity map on the left shows the general location of the property in the southeastern portion of the county within the red circle. The aerial photo on the right shows the subject property outlined in red. For reference, Patterson Avenue is to the north of the screen, and it's a little difficult to see, but you have Hilton and Wilton Roads on both sides of the property. On this side, you have Hilton Road, and then Wilton Road ends right at the terminus of the subject property. Zoning map on the left shows the property zoned business general, as are the adjacent parcels. Residential and agriculturally zoned properties are located in close proximity to the property. The comprehensive plan map on the right shows the property designated as commercial with single-family low designation to the north, west, and south. The semi-public designation is where Hope Church is, right here. This is Hope Church, and this parcel on the zoning map that corresponds over here on the comprehensive map, that's Blair Estates. The business operates from a small office located within the warehouse. There's one employee, and the business serves approximately 12 to 20 customers each week, many who visit by appointment only. In addition to automobile sales, minor repairs are performed to prepare the vehicles for sale. Per the conditions, these repairs remain accessory to the primary sale of the operation and occur within the fenced area. This slide shows the conceptual plan that was approved with the original conditional use permit approval. This plan anticipates one-way circulation entering from Hilton, as you can see on the screen, entering from Hilton and exiting on Wilton Road. However, access from Hilton Road was never established. So as part of the renewal, staff worked with the applicant to develop a conceptual plan that reflects how the site currently functions while also addressing access and safety concerns. On the screen is a marked up version of the proposed conceptual plan. The markup was added because the original plan, the details did not display well on the screen, so I marked it up so we could see. As proposed, all customers and vehicles will access from Wilton Road. So again, up here at Wilton Road, they'll be entering this way. The inventory parking has been consolidated within the fence display area and is shown in red. The dotted line is the area where the fencing is located. With dedicated customers parking, that's the area up here in blue. There's 2 spaces right, that will be right there. And employee parking, also shown on the screen outside of the fence, and handicap parking within the fenced-in area along with the inventory for sale. There is a 4-foot pedestrian gate intended solely for emergency access connecting to Hilton Road. You can kind of see it located right here between the handicap parking and the office. The gate will remain locked during normal business hours and is intended solely for emergency purposes, not to be used for customers or employees. A community meeting was held on April 28th. 5 people were in attendance. The primary discussion centered on customers having difficulty finding the business and whether vehicular access could be established on Hilton Road. Following the meeting, staff coordinated with other departments and determined that allowing vehicular access from Hilton Road presents concerns because the road is a private road. There's concerns with parking on that side, and the need to maintain access through that entire development, emergency access. Conditions, conditional use permit review and standards. As with every conditional use permit, staff evaluates the request under the review standards in section 1560 of the zoning ordinance, considering impacts on public health, safety and welfare, compatibility with surrounding properties, parking, access, and overall site design. The next several slides contain recommended conditions. The black lines show the changes from the approval in 2020. Most of the conditions changes are housekeeping, making them current with today's standards. However, I'm going to go through each of them and summarize each one of them. Condition 1 continues to allow automobile sales on the property. The revised language clarifies the use is limited to passenger vehicles and does not include commercial-sized trucks, trailers, equipment, or similar vehicles. Condition 2 permits minor vehicle repairs within the fenced area. The repairs are preparation for sales. Condition 3 requires the plan of development must be submitted within 60 days of approval of the conditional use permit renewal. Condition 4 requires the property to be developed and operated in general conformance with the conceptual plan. Condition 5 is a significant revision and addresses access to the property, which requires all business and customer access to be from Wilton Road. The existing gate on Hilton Road side must remain locked and may only be used for emergency access. Condition 6 requires all vehicles to be stored in and displayed within the fenced area as shown on the conceptual plan and limits the number of automobiles displayed to 13. Condition 7 requires compliance with all local, state, and federal environmental regulations. Condition 8 prohibits outdoor storage of automobile parts, petroleum parts, repair equipment, and similar items. That is outside of the fenced area. They can store them within the fenced area. Conditions 9 through 11 are intended to reduce the potential impact on the surrounding properties. Condition 9 states that a lighting plan must be submitted for any new lighting and it must meet the county's dark sky compliance requirements. And Condition 10 prohibits the attention-getting devices such as flashing lights, banners, flags, and those that attract attention. Condition 11 maintains the existing operating hours, which are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week. Condition 12 extends the expiration date of the conditional use permit to September 2036, which is a 10-year renewal. Condition 13 is a standard transfer or lease condition requiring the owner to notify the county if the property use changes hands to ensure that the new owner or tenant is informed of the conditional use permit as well as all the conditions. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Mr. Krikovic is also in attendance and is available for questions.
Thank you very much. Sherry?
So the new access is, I keep getting him confused. So the new access is on the wall.
It's on Wilton Road.
Wilton.
Yes, correct.
Which is actually the access that's currently being used.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So there is no current access, even though the original request was for access to be from Hilton Road.
Okay.
They never did that. So-
Correct.
Okay. Then I reject or retract my question.
All right.
I think the only housing area is behind on Blair Road.
Behind there, so yes, they're not immediately adjacent to it, but yes, there is Blair Road Estates, and then Rivergate is a little farther back. The development actually extends
No
a ways.
complaints or anything?
No, there have been no complaints that county's aware of.
Great.
All right, would the applicant like to speak?
I just have one question.
Please come up.
Come on up.
I'm sorry.
Edgar Simmons, 407 Knollwood, off Pagebrook.
Okay.
My only question was, adding that gate for the emergency exit, I didn't know it was to have a lock. I mean, I'm not opposed to a lock, but I thought the reason was so fire could come through should there be an issue. I mean, I guess they can cut the lock off, but.
Would that lock stop you, Mr. Davies?
Okay, that's fine. That was the only question I had. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I'm going to open the public comment period if anybody would like to raise any concerns or express any concerns about this project. Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public comment period. Do we have a motion?
I move that the commission recommend approval of conditional use permit CU 2026-00010, application by Steve Krikovic, subject to the imposed conditions as presented.
I'll second.
All right, do we have any discussion, any questions?
None.
No issues to raise among the commission?
Nope.
Vote?
Yes, sir. Ms. Kowalski?
Aye.
Mr. Patak?
Aye.
Mr. Kimmerly?
Aye.
The motion to recommend approval passes on a 3-0 vote. This case is tentatively scheduled to be heard by the Board of Supervisors on September 1st, 2026. It moves forward with a recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission. And our final public hearing item this evening is in District 2, CU 2026-11, application by Richard Dane requesting to renew conditional use permit CUP KCU 2025 for automobile sales on .75 acres at 2799 Sandy Hook Road on tax map number 310121A. The property is zoned agricultural limited A2. The CUP is required by County Zoning Ordinance Section 15112, and the comprehensive plan designates this area as rural enhancement area.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. As she stated, our final public hearing this evening is an application by Richard Dane, doing business as Dane Motor Company, Goochland. This application is also for a renewal of a conditional use permit for auto sales. The subject property is located on Sandy Hook Road in District 2. The vicinity map on the left shows the general location of the property, circled in red, so it's the central part of the county. The aerial photo on the right shows the subject property outlined in red. As you can see on the photo, it is surrounded by properties made up of mostly residential and agricultural properties. The zoning map on the left shows the property zoned agricultural limited, as are the surrounding properties. There is some residentially zoned property to the south, which has never been developed. The comprehensive plan map on the right shows the property designated as rural enhancement area, as are most of the surrounding properties. There is a designation of semi-public, which is shown in the brown. That's Ragland Church. The business operates as a small used automobile dealership. Vehicles are displayed for sale on the property while minor repairs are performed indoors in order to prepare the vehicles for sale. According to the applicant, the business averages approximately 4 to 6 vehicles for sale each month. The owner is the only full-time employee, with several part-time employees assisting as needed. When the conditional use permit was originally approved, it incorporated the conceptual plan that is on the screen. That approval allowed up to 20 vehicles to be displayed for sale in the designated display area shown here. Those limitations have been in effect in ensuring the business remains orderly with the surrounding neighborhoods, so it has been effective. However, the applicant has submitted an updated conceptual plan for your consideration with this renewal request. The purpose of the revised plan is to provide greater flexibility on how customer parking and employee parking are arranged while maintaining the same overall operation limits. As shown on the screen, Area A, which is shown here, allows parking for up to 5 cars for sale. Area B, also shown on the screen right against the road, is for parking up to 15 cars for sale. Area C, shown here in the back, shows parking for up to 10 customer cars. And Area D, up here, shows parking for up to 10 cars for employees or for customers. This is consistent with the existing limit of 20 outdoor vehicles for display that was approved with the last permit. A community meeting was held on March 12th. One citizen attended along with Commissioner Kemmerly. The discussion focused primarily on the history of the business, and no other concerns were raised during the meeting. As with every conditional use permit, staff evaluates the application using the review standards contained in 1560 of the zoning ordinance. As mentioned with the last case, those standards require consideration of potential impacts on surrounding property and those with health, safety, and welfare impacts. The next several slides summarize the recommended conditions for approval. The black line text showed the revisions from the 2020 conceptual plan. Again, most of the changes on the slide are housekeeping revisions intended to update the language to our standard conditions while providing greater clarity. Condition 1 continues to permit automobile sales on the property, but clarifies that it limits it to passenger automobiles and does not include commercial trucks, trailers, or heavy equipment. Condition 2 allows for minor automobile repairs that are incidental to vehicle sales, and that those repairs must be entirely within the building. Condition 3 has been removed because it is a condition that is required by the code, and they've already met that criteria. New Condition 3 requires the operation to be consistent with the new conceptual plan discussed during the presentation. The next group of conditions address how the property will operate on a day-to-day basis. Condition 4 limits the outdoor display to no more than 20 automobiles and require that those automobiles only be in the locations approved on the conceptual plan. Conditions 5 and 6 continue to require compliance with all environmental regulation and prohibit outdoor storage of automobile parts or similar materials. Condition 7 maintains the existing sign restriction and clarifies that attention grabbing, getting flags and flashing lights are prohibited. Condition 8 requires exterior lighting be reviewed and approved through a lighting plan before installation and be dark sky compliant. The remaining condition address operating hours, the duration of the permit, and ongoing administrative requirements. Condition 8 reflects the existing hours of operation, which are between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday, with no automobile sales or repairs on Sunday. Condition 9 recommends extending the expiration date of this conditional use permit, if approved, to 2036, September of 2036. Condition 10 requires that any inoperable vehicles be stored entirely within the building. Condition number 12 is our standard transfer or lease condition. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions that you might have, as is Mr. Dane.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Sherry?
I do, real quick. Why was there no vegetation screening required? I mean, we do that for some businesses, but then this one doesn't.
That's a great question. This is an existing business going, and the business prior to it was the exact same business. When the property changed hands, they renewed the conditional use permit for that property. But since there was no change of use or any kind of impact change, there was no requirement for them to come up to current standards.
Okay.
That's common practice.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
All right. Would the applicant like to speak?
I'd just like to say thank you for being with us this late tonight.
Well, thank you, Richard, for sticking with us. I know it's been a long day.
Absolutely.
So,
I was going to have a few things to present.
can you just step to the
Oh,
microphone
I'm sorry.
there?
And basically, like the
All right,
meeting.
so state your name real
Oh,
quickly.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Richard Dane, 2799 Sandy Hook Road is my business. I live at
Okay.
17251 Begonia Drive in Ruther Glen, Virginia now.
All right, now, thank you.
But I wanted to say that we're keeping the historic structure of the building and trying to make it as nice as we can. It's a historic property, and we're real proud to be there. It's been there for 91 years now, and still in the parish family, all of the land is. So, again, just like to thank you for considering this.
Originally a gas station?
It was originally William B. Parrish's gas station, and then a car dealership soon after that, and it's been that way.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody here that would like to speak on this particular case? All right, seeing no one, I'm going to close the public comment period on this case. And is there a motion?
I move that the commission recommend approval of conditional use permit CU 2026-00011, application by Richard Dane, subject to the imposed conditions as presented.
I'll second.
All right, are any questions here among us?
Nope.
Do we want to speak on publicly?
Nope.
No? Okay. All right. Oh,
Yes,
Go
sir. Mr. Kimmerly.
aye.
Mr. Patak.
Aye.
Ms. Kowalski.
Aye.
The motion to recommend approval passes on a 3-0 vote. This case is tentatively scheduled to be heard by the Board of Supervisors on September 1st, 2026. It moves forward with a recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission.
Okay, if there's no other business, I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you for sticking with us.
All right.